Hello, everyone, and welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast all about indie games. In this episode, we are talking about Witching Stone, Caves of Qud, and Sea Fantasy. My name is Chris.
I'm Joseph.
Welcome to the new year, Joseph. Welcome to 2025. Do you feel any differently?
I really don't. I mean, it's so early. Nothing has happened yet. Nothing exciting, nothing crazy. So it's still 2024 in my heart.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a holdover. And like it also kind of feels like a holdover with games too, still, because like not really anything big has come out yet for 2025, because we're literally in like we're recording this 3 days in, so
Yeah,
it's not like there's been an opportunity.
I don't know if anything. I'm sure new things have come out, but I haven't played anything released in 2025. I'll say that.
We will talk about one game that is releasing in 2025, but we'll get there. For now, we're going to start with 2 games released in 2024.
Game start!
The first one being Witching Stone, which released in September 16th of 2024, developed and published by Alexander Taylor, and it is on Steam for $17.99. And for a short description, Witching Stone is a roguelike puzzle game with deck builder elements that follows a young witch delving into dungeons, utilizing her spellcasting abilities to overcome various challenges. As players progress, they uncover deeper layers of the dungeons and face increasingly formidable foes. Joseph, I want you to picture like Slay the Spire combined with Bejeweled or something to that effect. Have you ever played one of those games, like a match 3 style game?
It reminds me of Puzzle Quest.
Oh, yeah,
you know what
yeah.
that is.
Yep. So that is kind of like what this is. It's like a match of Slay the Spire and Puzzle Quest combined. And like that's how like the game mechanic works. You start out your run. This is a roguelike. Selecting a character. There are several characters, but you start out on this like small overworld map where you can see the different points of interest and you can see where the enemies are, and you can see ahead of time what their difficulty is based on their colors. So there's like green for easier enemies, then there's yellow, red, and then the boss is kind of like a pink or a purple, and it'll literally say boss on it, so you can't mix it up. There's treasure chests, shrines, shops, a campfire to rest and get your health back, other places to visit on the map, and you're not really locked in that like Slay the Spire, choose your path kind of way. This is more of an overhead map in that like Mario Brothers 3 sense, where you can go one way for a little bit and then you can like backtrack and like go another direction around to get to certain things. So like you can try to get, let's say you beat like an easy enemy, you go and get like a couple things past that easy enemy, like a treasure, a shrine to upgrade something, and then you try to collect those things before you get to like a harder enemy or something. So you can kind of take the map however way you want it in that regard. You have spell cards which do attacks, defense, healing, status effects, the kind of stuff that you would assume to have in a traditional kind of fantasy themed deck builder, but you only start with 2 cards and those sit in your spell book, and you can only carry 4 spell cards at a time. Now, how that works is each battle, you see your enemy across from you in that very Slay the Spire kind of setup, but instead of a hand or a deck of cards, you get a grid of jewels, kind of like what you were talking about. That happens randomly, so like the jewels are all set up, and they're not really jewels. They're supposed to be stones, but they look like jewels, guys. And then your spell cards kind of sit around that, and each of those spell cards has a specific pattern that you need to satisfy to activate so that they do their thing, whether that's damage or it's shields or healing or whatever. It's usually like a pattern of 3, sometimes it's 2, sometimes some of the more powerful ones, it's like 4. And you have a limited amount of stones within that you can activate at one time. So it's kind of like, I believe you start out with 5, there are ways to be able to upgrade that. So it's kind of like when you think of games like Slay the Spire, you have like 3 points that you can utilize. Here it's like 5 stones that you can activate in one turn. There is a lot of nuance to it where to complete these spells. So they have to fall in the right order per spell, but not really overall. If you're like considering that you could do 2 spells in one turn. So for instance, if my attack to satisfy that, if that is a red stone followed by 2 yellow stones, and my shield is 2 blue stones, I could still pull both of them off if I do red, blue, blue, yellow, yellow, because individually I've satisfied both of them in their correct orders. And then as you are like adding more spell cards to your spell book, you can try to curate cards that might overlap. So if I have like a heal spell that's green, blue, I could chain off of that with that shield that's 2 blue and just do like green, blue, blue, and they'll both activate because I'm using, satisfying both. And then I'm using 3 stones instead of 4. So managing that can really be to your advantage. As you use those stones, they'll disappear from that like grid. New ones will fall in at random. So you can't just keep using the same pattern each round. And there's definitely been times where like I haven't been able to do something and I've had to just like activate a bunch of like random stones to just kind of move them off the board so I can position some of the stones that I want into a better spot for my next turn. So it's very interesting. It's a really interesting approach to gameplay, and I think that that's really novel. As far as progression, the enemies definitely get harder as you go. Some of them are going to have effects on your stone grid, like they can freeze a stone so that you're unable to use it. They can add burn effects to certain stones so that if you do use that one, it's going to damage you as soon as you use it. There's trinkets that you can get that can be added onto your cards to give them extra effects, make them stronger. And there's lots of different cards to find and add to your spell book, which you can only carry 4 at a time, I think I said, but there's like certain things that you can do to increase that amount too. One run I had 5 at least, and then I had, for the amount of stones I could use in one turn, I got up to, I think it was like 7 or so. So there's definitely like some wiggle room with all of that kind of stuff with your limitations and everything. And there's a lot of different characters to unlock that will have different starting cards available as well. But like the thing that pulled me into this originally was the art of it. It's really gorgeous, simple pixel art. You've got some hand illustrated images you'll see of your available characters as well. It all looks really clean, really vibrant. The characters definitely have like a slight anime kind of look.
Like it reminds me of Tenchi Muyo as far as the art goes. And there's an anime that I cannot think of, but there, especially the character on the cover, this elf girl with the green hair, like she's reminding me of someone who I cannot place, but early 2000s anime. Just think of that timeline and you'll be in the right headspace. Yeah,
it's just like, it's got that like quirky fantasy anime style feel where it's vibrant, a little bit on the comedic looking side. It looks fun. Also, the music was really good. That was stuck in my head the whole time while I was writing my notes originally. So, and then once I saw like how the gameplay is, I was just like really intrigued to it. And I was like, okay, I've got to try this out. I haven't seen much like this before. And I really wanted to see how that worked. So overall, I enjoyed it. But I would say that the difficulty curve of this one is a lot higher than most roguelike deck builders that I've played. I am enjoying it. And it's one where like you do kind of fall into a groove eventually as you play more and you start finding, getting more ideas for how to get certain spell cards to kind of work together and get those synergies to work and everything. But I would say if you are looking for a traditional sort of deck builder experience, this is not that. Like you will not get that feeling here. But if you're somewhere in that cross section of a person that enjoys puzzle games and a person that does enjoy roguelikes, then I think this is a game that you will like. But it is very niche in that way.
This appeals to me in the same way or in a similar way that Shogun Showdown did. And I really liked that game just because of the complexity of the tactical aspect of it. But this doesn't have tactics to it, but it's the solving of the puzzle is a part that I think will be really appealing. I don't know if the deck builder part is like a misnomer, or is there any kind of deck involved at all, or is it just specifically talking about like the cards that you have on the left side?
It's really only that you can pick up new cards as you go, and
you're not drawing cards.
You're not drawing cards during rounds or anything like that. The only thing that you were doing as far as like and this is where I wouldn't call it a deck builder. I would just say it's got deck builder elements to it, which is just that your abilities are, cards, and those are cards that, because you are limited to just, let's say, without any enhancements, you're limited to just like 4 for your character. There are certain like points on the map or something like that you get to choose, maybe 2 new cards as a reward. But that means you have to get rid of one of your existing cards because you can only have 4 at one time. So you are having to pick and choose cards, and those cards are acting as your abilities or whether it's like your defense or your weapon or whatever. But no, you aren't playing cards. You're really just playing the spells on those cards. So,
So it's less of a deck builder, more puzzle first.
A puzzle strategy game, I would say, before I would call it deck builder. And honestly, like, it does get very intricate, very difficult.
Have you beaten a run yet?
No, like I've gotten through to a main boss multiple times, and the closest I got, like literally one more hit would have taken him out, and I just could not get the right stones to get them.
I will pick it up on a sale just based on your summary of it.
I think I've played maybe like 6 or 7 runs on that, and I've had fun with it each time. I've learned new things every single time, so I think that's something.
New game!
So for our next topic, we've got Caves of Qud. This came out December 5th, 2024. It's been early access since July of 2015. So it's kind of been out sort of for a long time, but not the official full release until December 5th. This was developed by Freehold Games, published by Kitfox Games, retails for $29.99. And for a quick description, Caves of Qud is a science fantasy roguelike RPG set in a deeply simulated retro-futuristic world teeming with sentient plants and exotic creatures. Players explore a richly cultured environment, chisel through layers of ancient civilizations, and engage in open-ended gameplay that emphasizes exploration and player choice. Joseph, this was the one that you have been playing for the last several weeks. So go ahead and tell us all about it.
Yeah, so this is a game that I know is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I know some people, like me, are going to be so into it that it's like you're going to keep wanting to go back in and find out more about it after every one of your runs. So I do want to set it up to say, like, this is intended to be a roguelike, but it can be played as just an RPG if you want to, where after you die, you get transported back to a town, nearest town, and you start from there, but it doesn't wipe your character. But I would recommend against that, because the really appealing part about this game is learning from your experiences, the high risk, high reward aspect of exploration, where it's like, yeah, you can go anywhere, but if you don't have the stakes of like, oh, if I go there, I might die and then my character is just wiped out for good. If you don't have those stakes, it really takes away from the appeal of that exploration and the the enjoyment of the discovery when you find something really cool, or just either find a cool item or something just really unique happens, or just some kind of interesting story plot opens up. So I'm going to say from my perspective to play this in classic mode, because that is the way that it is. I'm going to say intended to be played, even though no shame if you play it the other way, but my recommendation is always going to be classic mode.
I think you don't get as much like XP and stuff when you play it the other way as well.
That I'm not sure. I haven't even tried it, so I don't know like what the other mode is like.
Because I opened it for the first time last night, and I was looking at that, like how you, when you want to start your game and stuff, it gives you the options of what type of game you want to play. And if I remember right, it is kind of a like high risk, high reward sort of situation where it's like if you do play like the more relaxed version of like your character doesn't permadeath, I don't think you get as much XP from specific things that you would the other way. So I remembered that, and I was like, I'm going to choose classic because of that. Because I was like, if I'm going to try this, I want to do it that way. So
yeah, and plus, like, you don't really understand and learn the mechanics well unless you are faced with situations that will challenge those mechanics. If it's like I'm here, I'm gonna die because I'll just revert back to town and then I'll start fresh and not go there, then it's like you're kind of missing out on getting the full experience, in my opinion. Yeah. So anyway, gameplay mechanic wise, when you create your character, you're choosing between either a mutant or a mutant that has like some unique abilities, and there are various mutations. You can get more mutations over time, or you can be a truekin, which is like the closest to human as possible, but with cybernetic enhancements. And those cybernetic enhancements you can also pick up or collect over time, add to, et cetera, et cetera. So there are two different ways you can start, but even though like that sounds very limiting, there's so many options within each of those that doesn't, it's not like any kind of limitation at all. It's just the type of stuff that you're going to be enhancing your character with. Either mutations or enhancements is all you need to think about. So the combat is a turn-based and tactical combat against weird enemies like, robots, psychic crabs, things like that. Like it's all sorts of different things. It's turn-based in the way that like as you move, the enemy moves. So each turn you take, the enemy's also taking a turn. So when you're moving around, or when you choose to move, you kind of have to keep that in mind, that like your move is going to coincide with the enemy's. So like if someone's close to you or the one square away from you, you kind of just want to stand there if they're melee and let them come to you so you can get the first hit, as opposed to vice versa. So just thinking about things like that. There's also creative solutions to combat. It's not always just like I'm going to straight up murder this thing. There's also like diplomacy, teleportation, environmental manipulation, things like that you can do depending on what powers you have or weapons or abilities you're using. The world in general is a like procedurally generated world. Every single time you like start a new game, it just procedurally generates your entire world that you're in. There are some like stationary things, like the towns, like the starting towns will always be the same, but everywhere you go outside of that will be just randomized, including the outside world and the dungeons and what enemies are there. There are certain things where it's like limitations to the levels of enemies that are in certain areas. So you're not going to go outside of the first town and just hit like a level 20 enemy or something that's going to murder you right away. So there are some areas that will be different than each other and stay like similar, but the layout of everything is going to change constantly, as well as items that are there, the lore that's attached to them, things like that. You are encouraged, obviously, to explore around, to find new things. It's a very sandbox experience in that you're not getting your hand held through this at all. You in your starting town, you can pick up a couple quests, and that kind of helps you start out on a path of where you want to go. but there's nothing telling you specifically you have to do this thing at this time. You're kind of just looking around, expanding outward, going far enough to where it's like, okay, I don't think I can handle these enemies if I go this far, so I'm going to come back a little bit and just explore in this area. Things like that. So you've got your, for progression and flow, you've got your basic leveling system where you're gaining experience to unlock abilities and upgrades your stats. You can scavenge ruins for powerful new gear, rare artifacts, take out powerful enemies to sometimes get their gear. There's a love potion sort of mechanic thing in there that if you have that, it's like I don't think it's called love potion, but it's something like that. It's like a elixir of some sort that you can give to your enemy, and they will be on your side for a duration. I don't remember how long the duration was. So many turns, essentially. And a turn is each move you make is counting as a turn. So that's also there's no like mana involved. It's like the abilities you use are also just like their recharge is a number of turns. So let's say you use something like teleport, maybe it's 50 turns. And so then it's like, it's not going to be back again until you move around 50 times or take 50 actions, whatever. But yeah, so there's like things like that. There are your permadeath, the stakes and urgency of every decision are there. And that's what makes it kind of a very exciting thing as you uncover secrets and different sort of lore in each playthrough. It's always unique because you don't know what's going to be where. You don't know exactly what this lore is going to be. Even something like if you get some sort of disease or whatever, you have even the cures for that is like procedurally generated in the sense that you have to kind of find it yourself. It's not always going to be the same way to cure something like that. So something to keep in mind. For the art and the sound, it's very minimalist graphics inspired by like the ASCII art with modernized kind of tile-based options. I think of like Dwarf Fortress or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you'll kind of know what you're getting yourself into. But the art is like, it's serviceable for what it is, but it's not the appealing part of the game, obviously.
It's the most basic kind of art. Like, it reminds me of like the most basic like Oregon Trail kind of art you could imagine, like.
Yeah, it's like 1-bit or 2-bit. It's like not 8-bit even. It's very, very simplistic, but it doesn't need to be more than it is for the experience. Right. And that's what I really appreciate about it. It's got this ambient music that's kind of going on in the background. I don't know if it changes throughout as you go to different areas. I don't listen that closely to these things, but it does well to kind of help you get immersed in the world that you're in as just like a soft kind of background track. So for my experience with it, with all those details aside, like this game is exactly my kind of unforgiving deep dive sandbox experience. I've restarted many times now. I can't even count how many. It hasn't been like hundreds or anything like that, but it's at least been 10 or so times but each run, like I've learned something new and was able to better understand how certain mechanics work. And this is all part of what makes Caves of Qud so captivating for me. I've mainly played pre-made characters before making my own, which I would highly recommend until you kind of understand the synergy of how everything is working together. So these pre-made characters come with like mutations that are already set, stats that are already like laid out. These are things, it's like essentially if you would pick up like a pre-made character in D&D or something, it's like that. This is a similar concept to that.
Yeah, I see one of yours is one of the ones I played also.
Yeah, so some of the characters I've played so far have been an axe-wielding centaur who got pretty good at charging in and chopping the limbs off of enemies. And so I thought like I was all set until he bled to death after an intense battle. I didn't have any bandages or anything, so I couldn't stop the bleeding. And I was out of like my healing whatever things. So I couldn't heal up. So I just kind of had to walk to my death because there was no other way I could avoid this bleeding to death.
That's so sad.
Another one was a turtle man with a broadsword whose shell defense really kept him protected from waves and waves of enemies. So again, you feel like you're in the clear because I can protect myself from anything until I got shot down by a high level auto turret from halfway across the screen that I couldn't even see because, there's in these dungeons, like it's dark around you everywhere, but like a small circle around you that's lit by the torch you're holding.
Yeah.
And I just see this arrow come from across the screen and hit me for so much damage, like half my health. So I was dead in like 2 turns. And it's like, oh, well, cool. Like I didn't even have a chance.
Can I ask you though, did that feel discouraging at all when that's like how he went, or was it more of like kind of a laugh for you when it happened?
No, it's not discouraging for me because I'm exploring around. I expect that maybe I'll run into something like this. And generally,
sure,
you'll be okay if it's something that's like a melee thing, if it's like a big snake or whatever, because you'll see it first a couple of tiles away. You can move your cursor or however you're playing it. If you're playing it with a controller, you can just like move the little selection icon over to it, and it'll tell you like if it's aggressive. First of all, it'll say hostile or friendly or neutral or whatever, and if it is how easy it is for you. Some will say trivial, some easy, some like average, and or if it's like hard. I don't remember what the ones that are, if it's too hard for you. One is impossible though, so it's like, okay, I definitely don't want to try to take this thing down. So you'll usually know if you need to run away from something, or if you're just in an area where I shouldn't be here yet because these things are way too strong for me. I didn't get to see this turret because it was off screen for me, so that was just a fluke of me getting shot down, and that just might happen sometimes. And that's part of the enjoyment for me personally of the exploration of this, because it's like, okay, cool. Well, now I know like these giant turrets can be down here, but it might not be always since it is randomly or procedurally generated. So it's not like something I can prepare myself for mentally. I just have to expect the unexpected with something like this. And that's part of the excitement for me.
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters that I had played recently was a birdman who had the ability to fly, which was really cool. And he was dual wielding pistols. So I was like, all right, this guy's great. And then I got infected by this glowing fungus that was slowly taking my body over. Do you remember how it was? What's the game? Dang, it's like the tactical co-op game. We made characters of all of us. And I think one of us was infected by something.
Wildermyth. You're thinking of Wildermyth.
Yes, exactly. So it was like that, where the fungus, like I just had this thing in my hand. I didn't know what it was. It was like a glowing fungus thing. I was like, oh, cool. This takes the place of my torch and it doesn't run out. So I'm just going to grab this and use it as a torch. And then I got infected with this thing by this fungus. So then it took over my chest slot, and it was like, okay, well now that's my permanent chest slot. So it's got its like advantages and disadvantages. The advantage of it was it was always glowing, so I didn't have to use a torch anymore. And then I could take it out of my left hand and use my dual pistols again because I didn't have to hold it since my chest was now glowing. But this is one of those things that would continue to take over my body, because then it infected my left arm. And I was like, oh no. So this thing's I don't know how long this is going to spread. I didn't get far enough into this character to find out how long it was going to spread, because what happened to him was I ran out of bullets in the dungeon, and I was trying to just use this extra whip that he had. But then this blind crab came and just ate me because I could not beat him with just his whip. His shell was too strong. So that's one of those, like, the adventures of this game, and sometimes even the failures of this game are part of the fun of the storytelling aspect of it. And so those are just a few of the characters I've had a lot of fun with, and only some of the experiences that I've had with it.
Each one of these two sounds like it could be like a fun little like anthology video of all of these goofy characters and the hilarious ways in which they die. I like that.
It's kind of like that. Whereas if I had just done roleplay mode, I wouldn't have had any of these like fun experiences, or at least I wouldn't have had the variety of experiences that I've had, which is really kind of what makes it very appealing to me. So would I recommend this game? The short answer is yes. The long answer is if you can prioritize gameplay and experimentation over graphics, don't like having your hand held through games, don't mind losing a character or 10 before you really lock in and understand what you're doing, and enjoy getting lost in a procedurally generated sandbox experience where you're never quite sure what's going to happen next, then you should definitely give this game a shot. Is it for everyone? Definitely not. But is it a delicious, rare treat for nerds like myself? 100%.
I played it a little bit last night, and I was a little overwhelmed with the amount of stuff on the screen, because you also have like the as you do everything, there's sort of like that text log that saves on the right side as well. But also, I think the problem was I was playing it on Steam Deck, and it is not as well. I think it's not as well managed on the Steam Deck, and like it's got such a tiny screen already. So I was kind of like, I don't know about this one. I'm sort of out. But like all the fun that you're having with it, I'm like, all right, I kind of want to try again. I might just install this on my desktop so I can play it some more and give it a fair shake.
I do play it with the controller, and I tried playing it with mouse and keyboard, but I didn't like the feeling as much. So it's very playable with controller, and I would assume Steam Deck as well, if you're okay with that screen size. But yeah, because you can also zoom in and like change the UI elements in a way if you were insistent on playing it on Steam Deck. But yeah, so I don't know. Controller wise though, it works perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'll give that a shot. Also, I would love to see some gameplay from you as well. I think that would be fun.
Oh yeah, I do have everything recorded somewhere, so
hey, there we go.
We can you can see the mishaps that go on in my world of Qud.
I would love to see the random arrow just fly out of nowhere and just take you out when you thought you were safe.
It happens, and it's so like it's not even like a glorious sort of death sometimes. It's just like you're dead kind of thing. In a very like Dark Souls type of way. So that's what's really funny to me. But then you get like a whole I wouldn't call it like I don't know. You get like a description of your character on the next screen of like what you went through, how long you were playing him, things like that. So you get kind of an epilogue of what happened.
At least there's that, almost kind of like a send off in a way.
Yeah,
sort of.
Exactly.
New game!
Before I introduce our next game, I want to ask you a question, which is when you're playing whether it's like an RPG, whether it's like a JRPG, an action RPG or something like that, what's your favorite style of mini game that you might encounter?
I guess it varies because different RPGs do different sorts of mini games also differently. Like in Breath of Fire 2, my favorite mini game was fishing because that was done really well. But in something like Final Fantasy 7, the chocobo racing is like the best mini game.
Well, I'm glad the first one you mentioned was fishing, because if it wasn't, my lead-in would have really like screwed up. It wouldn't have, this wouldn't have worked out. That was a pretty
big gamble then.
Yeah, I know. It's 2025. I got to take more risks. Our next topic is Sea Fantasy. This is an upcoming game. This releases January 7th, 2025. And actually, if you're, listening to this episode, it came out yesterday. So there you go. You can get it now. This was developed and published by Metazla. I'm going to go with that. Metazla? I like Metazla. That sounds cool.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. For a short description, Sea Fantasy is a JRPG that follows two young men named Rod and Axel who want to travel the world and fish. However, on their journey, they meet a mysterious entity that enlists their help in preventing the revival of the Black Dragon, a bioweapon which threatens their world. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's not just a fishing game, as you can tell by the description, but fishing is kind of like a huge part of it, sort of the biggest part of it and the biggest mechanic. And it does fishing in probably the coolest way I have ever seen a game handle fishing. And of course, you're going to think like, when you think of fishing in a game, there's like very specific expectations that you'll probably think of, right? Which is going to be like a bar, and there's going to be like something like moving along that bar, and you're going to have to time something correctly. So they do that, but they put like a whole new spin on it, and it's really, really cool. So the mechanic basically is like, when you see a dark spot on the water, you line up your casting marker to it, you cast your line. Instead of just getting that traditional hit the button at the right time to hook the fish, you've got a lot more intricacy. There is an HP bar for your equipment, like your rod and reel, and there's an HP bar for the fish you're trying to catch, which in this game, like they're all called CAS. I don't know why. And I don't know if the AZ stands for something, but maybe. Underneath that is one of those moving target bars like you might expect, where you have the cursor that moves from left to right, and that's the thing that you are trying to click to do the timing. And you're timing it against two things. There's a large shrinking blue bar, and then there's a very small static yellow bar. And then in the middle of all of this is a number which indicates an amount of damage. So what you're doing is you are trying to time a hit within that shrinking blue bar to do damage to the CS, to reduce the HP. If you get it in the yellow, that really small slot, you can do double damage. If you miss on either, that damage goes to your equipment instead. So once that CS HP reaches 0, you catch it. If your equipment HP reaches 0, your line breaks and you lose your fish. So I think that is a super cool mechanic. I really like that they added so much more to it, and that it's almost like combining fishing with like sort of like a battle element to it, using the HP of both like your equipment and the CS that you're going up against. I think that's really unique and really cool. You can scale and salvage the CS that you catch for different things. So you can either sell the mats to stores to make money, which you are going to need for different things. You can also use some of it to craft equipment like new lures, reels, things like that, which will have different benefits for you to help you catch other CS. And though fishing is sort of the main focus of this game, like I said, there's more stuff to it. There's also some areas in the game that there are some platforming. There's some hack and slash, there's some dungeon delving, and there's a lot more as the game progresses and you face off against different bosses that require more than just like being caught on the fishing pole. You also get like a boat that you can travel the world in. So it's kind of like a little bit of an open sandbox world with like different islands that you can go to and explore, meet people, more quests that you can get from people. There's also a leveling system for your character that will let you pick from different upgrades, which will enhance your fishing skills and give you, like, as an example, there's one that you can get more time within that blue bar, like it'll shrink a little bit like slower, or you can get more HP for your equipment, or you'll do like more damage against the CS. As far as how it looks, it's all done in pixel art. It looks almost like a game studio kind of way. I don't know if it was made in like Game Maker or not, but it gives me that kind of like feeling. It's not as polished as a game that you might see like if you think of like Sea of Stars or something like that, but it still looks good. It's got a really nice music score to accompany it as well. It makes it feel like a really classic JRPG. I really enjoyed the demo, and I'm really looking forward to the full release, which is available now if you're listening to this. So if you are one of those folks like me, like Joseph, that enjoys fishing mini games in an RPG, this was basically made for you. Or if you're a fan of like games like Stardew Valley or Moonlighter, this kind of feels like a combination of both of those. So like I'm definitely planning to pick this up on day one. I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah, it does look really neat. I'm looking through some of the videos of it. So the battles work the same way as the fishing or no?
Yeah, so like it depends. So some of them, yes. You will have to catch like certain like boss fish and stuff like that, but there are like some bosses and stuff that will require other things. Like this isn't one I encountered in the demo, but I've seen video of like one boss that like you're literally chasing around and attacking in a very like Zelda, hack and slash kind of style. So I think that there's probably several instances of different aspects of gameplay within this entire thing, with the idea that more often than not, the fishing mechanic is probably the thing that you're going to be using the most throughout this game.
Yeah, I also see like platforming aspects of it too, where you're attacking like where it's not turn-based. It's like you're just swinging your sword and taking out these enemies. It's interesting. There's a lot going on here, and it says it's open world, so I'm curious to see how true to form that is.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting and creative game. So that's what I'm really looking forward to it. It seems like taking that mini game that everybody loves and then building something around it and then adding even more to it to make sure that it doesn't get stale, that's the only thing we're doing. We'll see how it turns out. Like I said, I'm planning to pick this up when it comes out, and I will report back.
Combo!
So as far as other games we've been playing, I'm usually the one that starts this, but would you like to start this time? It looks like you've been playing quite a few things.
I've just kind of been playing things that I had been before. I really haven't picked up any new indie games in the past couple of weeks, at least. So Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Rangers Rewind, I sat down and finished this one up. It's probably an hour and a half worth of actual story, if not less, since it ends right when you first rescue the Green Ranger from Rita's mind control. I thought it was going to go on longer than that, since I knew you could play as a Green Ranger, but it seems like, the fact of the matter is, like, after you beat that section of it and you take out the Dragon Zord and then you take out Rita and Robo Rita, then the game's over and you just can now play as the Green Ranger if you want to go through another run or something.
Okay.
Yeah. You can play with friends online if you have any of those, but I did read that you're unable to save progress in multiplayer. So if that's true, that could be a deal breaker for people who are picking this up specifically for that reason. It's a short game, yes, but still an hour and a half is a lot to commit to with multiple people, let alone one. So if you can't save the story mode on multiplayer, then that's unfortunate. You can also post-story try speedrun mode if you have any interest in that. That's not my thing, but some people love speedrun stuff. And I think overall the experience was pretty cool, if not a little shallow, but it's a tough recommendation in its current state for me. But some things I think they could add that would absolutely make this a solid recommendation are alternate ranger costumes, letting you play as your weaker human form where you're dealing less damage, then you can just morph when you want to and maybe gain full health and more power. Like some of the older games did that. The older Power Ranger beat 'em up games. And so I was like, I wondered why they didn't have this, because you are in human form in the cutscene and then you just morph right away. And it's like, oh, that's not as fun. Because that could also add like a cool challenge to it. It's like, can I get through this in just my human form? For me, that stuff is fun. So I don't know. That would be cool to add, giving us different rangers or giving different rangers different stats like they have in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge, where it makes them feel unique, because right now they all do the same amount of damage. They just have different movesets. And even those are so slight that you won't really notice a huge difference from ranger to ranger. And that lack of uniqueness to each of them kind of makes it feel like, well, it doesn't matter who I play. And plus, like, the Pink Ranger, she can't even like use her bow as like a ranged attack. She still just does all the same melee attacks that the other people do. So she's just kind of hitting the putties with her bow as a makeshift melee weapon. It's like, come on, like at least have her have range. The only time she actually uses arrows when you do her super attack and it like fills the screen with arrows. It's like, that's kind of a cheap way out. Like just give her ranged attacks. That's her thing.
Yeah.
More like having more rangers from different shows. I mean, you know, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the original one, the dino with the dinosaurs and stuff is like my go-to. So that's my preference anyway. But there are so many from other shows that people might have like an affection towards that it's like, why not add some from the different Rangers eras? Like, even if it's just like a skin change or something. But like, since none of them have different damage or anything anyway, like it's really just throw in different Rangers from different eras and give them different animations and it's fine. Like it shouldn't be like that big I guess a stretch to add different Rangers in there. And then letting you unlock and play as some of the villains you fight would be really fun. Like some of the basic villains, like the putties or whatever. There's some games that do that, some beat 'em up games that do that. And I really like that variety that adds. And giving us some kind of post-game content or challenges. Like it just, when I say it feels like a really hollow or shallow experience, it's really just like you're going through the story one time. There's not much to do after that. And that is what leaves me feeling kind of empty about this game. So those recommendations are just kind of the tip of the iceberg that could help take this game from a mixed on Steam to a very, if not overwhelmingly positive experience if they just added a little bit more to it in certain areas.
Do you think maybe this game was like really rushed or something?
It felt like a little bit of a hasty response to Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah.
With the popularity of that and the nostalgia of that and the quality of that. It's like because there's another game that came out fairly recently. I think in 2024 at some point, which was the G.I. Joe one. That's also a beat 'em up. And it seems to suffer from the same thing that this one does, where it's just like lacking a lot of content. It was just made to kind of, this sounds more villainous than I'm sure it was, but to prey on the nostalgia and the popularity of beat 'em ups. And that is unfortunate because it's just like pushing these things out just to have something out for people that people will throw money at. But ultimately leaving us with a disappointing product. It's not to say that this can't be patched up and made into something better. And I know they have made some changes that have really helped it out, but there's a lot more that I think they need to add to really make it worth not only the cost, but also the experience of the player.
Yeah, it sounds like they definitely didn't put nearly as much thought into it as they could have, especially like, why have different characters if the different characters aren't going to have anything like unique about how they play?
Yeah. So I don't know. That's a good question.
That's dumb.
Yeah. And I did see a update video that came out a couple days ago about the Toxic Crusaders game.
Yeah.
And the
I just
updates
saw that
on
too.
that. Yeah. So what I appreciate about it is like they are taking their time and they're learning from these other games. I think they specifically called out the G.I. Joe game for the things that it did. And it's like taking all of that into account and trying to make the best game they can make and present us with a quality product. And so I think when that one finally does come out, which will be sometime this year, I think like Q2 2025 is what they said.
Yeah, I would guess May.
So that's going to be like a really fulfilling experience that I would have expected from these other games. Something hopefully on par with Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for too. Like having played that demo, there was things I enjoyed about it, but there was definitely stuff that I felt could have been improved on. But that video, it looked like some of the things that I was kind of unsure about, they're actually like looking at it already. So that gives me some hope for it for sure.
Yeah, and they are playtesting this one in a lot of different like trauma specific events and things like that. So they are getting feedback on it and they are addressing it, which is why it's taking them so long to bring it out, because they're making sure they present us with something that is worth playing. So I appreciate that and I look forward to it. The other game that I played aside from Caves of Qud, which is what I've mainly been playing, is Ballionaire. I know you mentioned that one a couple weeks ago. I played a little bit more of this one. I jumped in some, and what I've learned about myself is that there's only so much of a game where where I'm not really doing anything, and that I can personally take it. The mechanics and look of the game are very cool, and I appreciate it. And I'm sure there's going to be like people who are very engineer minded that will really appreciate some of it. But ultimately for me, like, it's a little too hands-off and random to be a long-term game. It might be something I jump into periodically, be like, oh, I wonder what kind of weird thing I can come up with. But it's not something that's going to be like a lasting thing for me personally. Even though, like, I praise the team for what they did, and I'm glad it's getting very positive reviews, and I do encourage people to try it out for themselves. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, for me, it's sort of become like I've got like 20 minutes that I can hop onto my Steam Deck for a little bit. That's like one of those games that I can hop into for a little bit and know that that's like all the time that I'm going to need to spend in it. And it might not even be that long, depending on like how well the run goes or doesn't go. So, in fact, actually, like, I think 20 minutes is being pretty generous. Some of those runs are much, much, much shorter than that. But yeah, like I agree with you there. I actually was thinking about this the other day of like, I had just played it a little bit and I was like, I think I've played it enough for now. I don't think I need to come back to this for, the foreseeable future because I'm not really getting anywhere. Like I unlocked a whole bunch of stuff with it. And I was like, yeah, I'm satisfied with it. Like, there's no reason at the moment for me to keep playing it when there's like all these other games coming out. But again, like, it's one of those that I'll keep installed on my Steam Deck because I can just pick it up whenever I need a quick fix of something. So there we go.
Yeah. I've beaten a couple runs of it and have unlocked a ton of things out of the vending machine deal. But then it's just like, what do I want to go back? And it's not one of those that's like one more run, or I beat it and I'm like, nah, I still want to go back in. It's definitely not that kind of thing. It is. Yeah. And every once in a while I might get like let me just see what it feels like. Then like, oh yeah, that's why I'm not still playing it kind of thing.
It's not as addicting as like Ballionaire was, for sure.
No, not at all.
No, it's not one of those.
And I don't say these things to discredit it because it's just not my cup of tea, but someone else's, sure.
Yeah, it's fun. It's quirky. It's novel. I will say that for sure.
Yeah. It's the only pachinko roguelike that I know of.
Yeah, it's just, I gave it my time and I don't feel the need to keep giving it my time at the moment. And it sounds like you were also there. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I mean, they don't have your money; they have my money, and
hey, you know what? They got somebody's money, so
yeah.
For what I've been playing, I played a few games this week. Lots of demos is what I played. I'm still playing Golden Idol. I'm almost done, I promise. But as far as some of the stuff that I was playing, I played the demo for Reviver, which comes out on January 8th, which I believe is the day that you're listening to this, maybe, I don't know. This is a narrative puzzle game that follows the stories of two characters that meet as children and begin a budding romance. You are able to flip between the two of them and interact with their environments at different set points in their lives. So this is kind of like a puzzle, like point and click sort of puzzle game thing. And this will have a ripple effect through time and change something about their story. It's very interactive. Puzzles are great. The art's gorgeous. It's all hand-drawn. It looks very, very much like a storybook, and I love that. The story is also really intriguing, and it's not afraid to go a little bit dark, too. Like, I've got a playthrough of the demo that's going to be available over on our YouTube, youtube.com/nerdsloth. I genuinely love the demo. It reminds me of a less sinister Rusty Lake game, which, if you know me, I love the Rusty Lake stuff. That's my vibe. So I'm really excited for this full release. I do think I'm going to pick this up as it comes out. Another one I played was, and okay, bear with me for the name on this one. S4U, which stands for Search for You. S4U, Citypunk 2011 and Love Punch. That is the full name of this game. This also comes out January 8th. It's one of the strangest games I think I've played in a long time, but it's intriguing. It's mostly a text-driven sort of office sim game, but it has you control your character named Miki out in the world a little bit too, in a little bit of a visual novel style way. But for the most part, what you're doing is you're balancing your job as this underpaid architect with your part-time job as an internet mouthpiece, which is basically people will hire you to pose as them online in certain situations to handle things that they can't or are unwilling to handle themselves. Like the first one that you run into in the demo is like there's a boss who is sexually harassing this woman, and this woman hires you to pose as her via like almost like an instant messenger sort of thing, and talk to him and kind of like scold him, put him in his place, get him to stop essentially without getting her fired. So you are able to do that through some bold talk and a little bit of blackmail sprinkled in there. This part-time job of yours is very illegal. So you're also trying not to get found out while you're doing these things. So it's a very choices matter, select your response kind of interaction, but you do have to physically type on your keyboard for all of your responses to show up, which is kind of clever. What does make the story interesting is there's something in this world called cyberlife, which is basically real people, but that they don't have physical forms anymore and they live within the internet and they still work jobs. So like you might walk up to, there's like a vending machine in the game that you can walk your character up to. You see like a digital woman represented on the screen who is essentially like the store clerk that will like talk to you a little bit as you pick your selections and everything. But there's tons of people you can interact with and who have stories that you can get caught up in as a mouthpiece, along with all the stuff that's going on in Miki's personal life. There's romance options. There's a lot of multiple endings based on how you've played the game. So it kind of feels a little bit like the game Emily is Away with a little bit of Papers, Please mixed in, but with some existential crisis elements and maybe a little bit of fourth dimension time hopping stuff as well, sort of. I wasn't sure how I felt about this at first. Like I wasn't really digging it as I was first playing it, like maybe for the first like 20 something minutes. But by the end of the demo, I was really intrigued in the story and trying to understand the bigger picture. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on it and looking forward to seeing what other reviewers have to say about it as this releases. But the story was really interesting. I just wasn't sure about the execution of it. So the last game that I have here is Asterism. This is coming out January 17th. This was sent to us by Claire Morwood, who is a solo developer and publisher. This is a playable indie rock concept album set in space that follows an astronaut named Ruby who is chasing down and recording strange signals emanating from different planets. Landing on those planets essentially presents you with like a new song, and you're kind of like playing through the music video. And the big standout of this game that I really love is that it's all designed with like handcrafted materials. So everything is made out of like fabrics, yarn, paper, cardboard, clay, etc. All of those things have been like assembled and then photographed and then brought together digitally to create the game. It's very cool, very trippy, does some really interesting things with perspective that I didn't expect as well. The gameplay aspect, so is like as far as what you are physically doing to play the game is limited, but it's really about the presentation and the art of all of it. And I definitely can say that this does feel like an art piece for sure. I played through the first planet and I put that up on YouTube. So if that sounds interesting to you, and if you are an art nerd like me, you should probably wishlist this already. It's really, really interesting and it looks really cool.
Yeah, that does.
So thank you,
cool.
Claire.
I'm looking at the screenshots of it right now. Very interesting. Yeah. I like the craft / pixel blend there.
And the music's good too. I really enjoyed the music as well, which is kind of like what this is helping present. I played another game like this a long time ago, but I think I just re-uploaded the video from my old channel onto our YouTube last month, which I want to say it's called Not Heaven. And it was by a hip hop artist named Wealthy Relative, who like also did sort of a concept album that was built into a video game as well. I just think that's really cool. I think that's a cool concept and very creative. I like seeing that done. So kudos to both of them for doing something outside the box with their music.
Yeah, the blend of the music video aspect with the gameplay aspect is very intriguing. It definitely looks like a music video. Like I can absolutely picture that through every scene.
It's really cool, man. There's some parts of it too, like that I was sitting there watching, and I'm like, man, if I had a certain substance or something right now, this would be really messing with me. It was really fun though. It was a fun time.
Yeah, it looks good.
Final round.
As far as other indie titles on our radar, wish list, or play calendar, I've got 2 that are coming up this month that I'm really interested in. The first one is Deck of Haunts, which is coming out on the 16th. This is a roguelike deck builder where you play as a haunted house, attempting to lure in, trap, and terrify humans so you can drain their essence and grow stronger. Looks like a ton of fun. Of course, it's got that huge horror overtone to it. So feels a little bit almost like the board game. It's a Boss Monster, I think.
Yeah, that's Boss Monster.
Yeah, so it feels a little bit like that, but you're a haunted house and you're like laying cards and things like that to kind of like enhance like the fears, like prey on the fears of the humans that you've lured in and keep them trapped there and like terrify them. It looks really cool, really sinister, and I love the idea of it. I think that's really creative. The other game I'm looking forward to, this is coming out on the 28th. This is The Stone of Madness. This is a tactical stealth strategy game where you play as 5 prisoners that are in a 18th century Spanish monastery, and they are trying to maintain their sanity enough to work together and escape said monastery. It's beautifully hand-drawn and looks like it has a really, really deep story that I'm very much looking forward to. It looks like it's going to be really intricate. Lots of good narrative to follow there for all 5 of them, and then that combination of all of them together, like doing different things to help each other out so that they all escape. Really interesting to see how that unfolds. So that one's been on my radar for quite a while, and I'm excited that's finally here.
That one, The Stone of Madness, is also made by the creators of Blasphemous, which is a game that I really liked. A Souls-like game, which is why I really liked it.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Just
like,
wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, the theme of it, with it being like a Spanish monastery, like from the 18th century, definitely kind of fits that idea of Blasphemous a little bit. So yeah, I totally see it.
Just a much different gameplay type.
Yeah. Absolutely. Not even close.
Yeah, since Blasphemous is an action Metroid,
like a
Souls-like thing, and this one is like a stealth tactics game, very different.
Yeah.
So the games that I'm looking forward to that are actually coming out either when you're listening to this or have just come out, Nunholy is the first one, comes out on the 4th of January. In a world overrun by vampires, a group of nuns with their own stories have arrived at the Hunters Guild. They're ready to wield any power, even that of the demons, to defeat their enemies. What fate awaits them on this perilous journey? This one is an action roguelike where you're killing hordes of demons and vampires as waifu nuns. So what's not to love?
Man,
you don't really need to know anything else.
Yeah, this has been on my radar a little bit, and I'm I was hesitant to bring it forward because I didn't know if this was going to be like sexy hentai game. So I didn't look any farther into it.
I went for it. I looked into it, and there are games that are definitely recommended to adult audiences. I don't know if this one is that extreme. This one looks like a legitimate game that just happens to have the trappings of sexy anime nuns. So,
all right.
If that's as far as that goes, then I'm totally okay with it because I will play it for the experience.
It is intriguing, honestly. Like, it sounds fun. I mean,
it looks cool. Like, check out the actual gameplay. Like, don't be turned away by the cover visuals, I guess.
I mean, it definitely looks like an anime I would like be interested in checking out, especially just like hearing the theme of it with like the demons and vampires, and it's like a group of nuns that has to fight against. That just sounds great. So like, I want this to be good.
Nuns sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I do too, and it's probably one that since it comes out tomorrow, as of the day we're recording this, I'm probably gonna pick it up if it's a reasonable price. And I would most likely bring it to next episode, or my experience is to next episode. So we'll see if I end up picking that one up. And the second one I want to call out is Cruel, which is what comes out on the January 9th, a fast-paced first-person run-and-gun horror shooter with roguelike elements. You are running your way through a monster-filled hotel, sustaining yourself and leveling up with sugary soft drinks only, and everything around you, including the hotel itself, is trying to take you out. So this one just seems like a adrenaline-fueled sort of experience. I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's a first-person shooter. It has like very
looks
kind
nuts.
of It's the mullet. What was it? Mullet Magic? Yeah. Like it kind of is giving me that feel as far as the how frantic it is, but I don't know. We'll see how it. I just learned about it today, so I don't know like what it's gonna actually be like. But the visuals are kind of like PS2 ish, I want to say. And it looks fun, so that's one I want to try just purely because of the madness of it.
Yeah, it looks pretty interesting. I've seen this one pop up on a lot of upcoming lists for the month, so I am interested to see how this one plays out. But yeah, it's like very low poly as far as like the look and feel of everything, but it looks just absolutely insane. So yeah, I think it could be pretty fun.
I see a lot of the character like with a shotgun kicking like the heads off of these monsters.
It's just exploding. Yeah,
and everything. A lot of explosions, a lot of chainsaw wielding dudes. It looks crazy, but fun.
Speaking of things that are fun, one thing that I know is fun is if you enjoyed this episode, sharing it is so much fun. So please do yourself a favor and have some of that fun. Share it with someone who loves indie games. As always, you can catch me playing some of the games we discussed on the show over at our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/nerdsloth, along with lots of other Let's Play content on there as well. You can also catch hundreds of hours of bonus content for just $1 a month by subscribing to the Nerdsloth Treehouse over at patreon.com/nerdsloth. We also have an exclusive podcast over there called the Nerdsloth Podcast for those at the $5 tier as well, along with a few other exclusives only available to those members. At nerdsloth.com, you can find some updates as well as a link to our Discord server, and you can also join our subreddit for Indie Game Arcade and help us post more reviews of more indie games so more folks can find the games that suit their playstyle.
Game over!
That's game over for us. My name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue!
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth. For additional podcasts, go to nerdsloth.com. If you'd like to support the show, there are multiple tiers available at patreon.com/nerdsloth, with hundreds of hours of bonus content